So welcome everyone to Career Chats, hosted by Artworks and College of Arts. I'm Elise Gertz, and I'm the Internship and Practicum Coordinator for College of Arts. With me today, I have William Maher and Dr. Linda Party. And I will start with just a brief introduction. So William is a 20-year veteran of the computer animation industry. He has experience working in visual effects for feature film, games, animation, and graphic design. William is deeply motivated by technical advancement of computer-generated imagery and how it is developing animation and interactive media art forms. Welcome, William.
Hi, Elise. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And interviewing him today, we have Dr. Linda Party. Dr. Linda Party is the Associate Dean of Students for the College of Arts, where she encourages and supports faculty and students to recognize embedded work-life career development that is fostered by a humanities and social science education. Her research agenda is committed to ensuring liberal arts grads know they are equipped to tackle today's challenges and numerous career opportunities. Welcome, you guys.
Oh, thanks, Elise, and thanks for bringing us together. This is a great opportunity. So thanks, Will, for agreeing. So before
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. So before we get going, I am going to ask you a little bit about like what it is you do today. But I recently had an opportunity to interview Will in another forum. And during that interview, I learned something really cool that I have since told the story to different people. Because one of the things that I'm interested in is how do people connect their past experiences, their past jobs, and adding education, and how do they create new occupations? And in the interview that I was at with Will, he was talking about digital groomers. And I thought, what is a digital groomer? And then he started to explain how in animation, you know, animation, they need hairstyles, or animals, the fur needs to lay the same way. And then I was thinking about, well, what if a person already had pet grooming experiences or had been a hairdresser or an esthetician, and then they came back and did a media degree? Together, the two would go together and you would have this hybrid skill set that I never would have thought of bringing both together to have a set of skills. And I thought, now there is truly a liberal arts hybrid degree, a hybrid occupation. And so I thought that was really cool. So thanks for educating me and empowering a lot of future hairdressers that they can come take a media degree. That would be amazing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's funny, actually, I've had quite a few students in the past. They've gone on to be groomers, and now they're working on the fur systems and the hair systems for, you know, the big Disney films like The Jungle Book and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's actually a pretty cool gig. It's very creative. It's highly technical, but the tools are quite artist friendly. Yeah, it's an interesting career.
Yeah,
One, I like the idea of coming at it from that, you know, being a hairstylist or something like that prior. And I'm sure a big visual effects studio would really like to see that on a resume.
Yeah. And see, that's something, so people often say being a hairdresser is a dead-end career. If you're trained to be a hairdresser, you're a hairdresser. And there's, you know, what else do you do with that? How does that ladder into something else? And so This really got my brain thinking about just how it does ladder into something else. Also, how you could pay for your education while you were doing your media degree. You could work as a hairdresser and do your media degree and have this whole new world ahead of you.
Right. So well, it goes to show that I guess there is no dead-end careers. You know, you can always adapt and change.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, that was really inspiring for me to learn that from the last time I got to interview you. So I was excited about that, and I wanted to share that with you. Just before we get started with the 10 by 10 challenge, just wanted you to give us just a real quick kind of background. What are you doing today? Like, what's your job today, or what's the coolest thing how do your jobs connect? You know?
Excuse me. Well, today I am a professor at UFV teaching media arts. I've always loved teaching. I found that in most of my studio roles, I ended up being one of those mentors, the go-to person or the troubleshooter. So not to toot my own horn, but I just found that I enjoyed teaching a lot more than I did actually creating, though I still love creating and I'm very passionate about visual effects and game design and interactive media. So I decided to pursue a career in teaching, and this is where I am now at UFV, and I love it. We have some great students, and we have a really cool degree.
Yeah. And it's wonderful that for students to know that you did come from the studio background, that you've come from where, doing the work into the classroom now, as opposed to just from classroom to classroom to classroom. Right.
Right. And it's actually in Vancouver, most of the studios these days actually have in-house training people that are just their dedicated educators. And they have classes all throughout the day, in the evening. Some of them have mentorship programs. Some of them actually have like launchpad programs where they will, you'll get hired for the first 3 months. You're not actually working on films or animation. You're just in there getting a free training so that you're really ready for their, level of visual effects or animation or whatever it might be.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Okay, so you ready for the 10 by 10 challenge? 10 questions.
So.
10 questions in 10 minutes. And so if we get kind of rambling off, I'll cut you off and we'll go to the next one. It's like a marathoner here. Okay. So when did you know you were good at what you do?
Oh. I guess I don't want to sound cocky, but I've always been quite self-assured in my ability with digital media. Because it's been my passion. I think I just spend so much time doing it. If I don't feel like I'm good at a certain area of it, I kind of tackle that area. So I feel confident, and I think that has actually served me quite well in the industry. I think supervisors are more inclined to entrust you with a project when you're showing that you're confident you can complete it and so on. So if I don't feel confident in a certain area, I want to study it. I want to know it.
Yeah, good. So that brings me to then, what experiences have shaped your innovation skills and thinking?
I guess working in digital media, it's a real problem solving. You're a daily problem solver. Like that's what you're doing, especially in visual effects, which is something I enjoyed immensely, working in visual effects. You're always trying to better the last movie. You're standing on the shoulders of the artists that came before you, and you're trying to just get a little bit cooler effect or something that has a little bit more spectacle. And it's getting harder these days with the advancements of visual effects. And, we've all seen the Avengers movies and how great the visual effects are in those, and, Star Wars and such. But when I started out, there was still so much room to be explored, and so many innovative ways that we could use visual effects to create cool imagery. So, yeah.
So who were your early careerfluencers? When you say there's, it's getting harder. So who are the early influencers in your career?
I guess my very first influencer was like a mentor. He was my high school drafting teacher, Mr. Coburn. And he, once I discovered, I was always a drawer, an artist. I was the guy that sat there in elementary school, sitting there drawing on my desk all day. And I discovered computer animation in his drafting class, and he really kind of fostered that desire that I had, and he got me really excited about it. I remember he gave me 8 floppy disks to take home, and it was a MS-DOS version of 3D Studio, and I installed that on my computer, and that was it. I didn't play video games. I didn't do anything else. I was hooked. Yeah, and he took his time on Saturdays. I remember he took me and another student to a convention on 3D animation. it really helped foster that excitement and passion,
Excellent.
which kind of led me into that career for sure.
Cool. So I think you're almost answering our next question, so you can make this one really short. What major factors contributed to your career choice? So here I hear early mentors, adamant drawer.
Yeah.
One other thing, one other word you can add to that.
I guess I being in Vancouver, having this industry explode around me and seeing so many success stories. We had Mainframe Entertainment release Reboot in the early 90s there. It just got me excited. And there was stories of people that were actually doing it, which was cool.
So describe a place that has an impact on you and what is impactful about it.
Well, I guess Vancouver, really. I feel very lucky to have had the industry explode around me, if that makes sense. Like, Vancouver is the hub for visual effects and animation in the world. There's more jobs in digital media in Vancouver than any other major city. And I've watched it grow from Mainframe Entertainment on Broadway, just making Reboot and Electronic Arts opening up, and now all the big visual effects studios here. And it's amazing to have had that opportunity. I went to university in the UK, and all my classmates all wanted to be in Vancouver.
Okay, cool.
So, that's, yeah.
How have your personal values impacted your work?
I think the most important personal value I have is responsibility. If you're responsible in any area of your life, you're going to succeed in that area of your life. So, like, I always want to be responsible in my work, of course, but also in my relationships and in my personal life. Like, if you're a responsible person in just one area of your life, say you're responsible to your partner, you're going to be successful with your partner.
Do you think students will gain a sense of responsibility or skills practicing responsibility by taking courses with you?
I think so. I don't think they'll succeed if they're not responsible enough to finish their homework.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But, cool.
No, I think, if you really want to be successful, you really have to be responsible to yourself. And with that is the dedication and, that self-motivation. Cool.
So what makes you feel successful in your work? Like, when do you go, got it,
Well, I see myself now as an educator more than a practitioner, though I still love to practice digital media, computer animation. I remember, like, Mr. Coburn, he took me on these conventions, we went to studios and stuff, and it just had me in awe. And when I can do that for a student, when I can get a student excited and passionate about, the career that I love so much, I think, awesome. I just did it. I took some students last year to the studio that was working on the final episode of Game of Thrones, and they got to see the dragon coming down and the flames coming out. Total spoiler. But, for students to be able to go in there and actually see what it's like behind the scenes, a few of them came out just buzzing. And then the following class, the next week, they were asking me, okay, Will, this is what I want to do. What do I have to do to do it? And that's when I feel successful.
Cool. So we have 1 minute left and 3 questions. So these are going to be these are going to be rapid fire. So what are you reading right now?
I'm reading fantasy, Brandon Sanderson. I love fantasy and sci-fi. If you're not reading, you got to fill that imagination, right?
Awesome. What surprises you about your career?
I think what surprises me most is the fact that I'm an educator now. I went in thinking I want to work on Star Wars movies or video games, and I've come out with a totally different perspective, and that's being an educator.
Cool. And our last question. So when you think of the future, what do you dream of?
Oh boy, I mean, we spoke about this before, you and I. I think virtual reality and interactive media are evolving and changing so rapidly. Um, I think we're at a time in history where we're telling stories in new forms, just like when we switched from radio to television. I think something's happening now, and the screens that we're using and the ways that we're engaging people and telling stories is becoming more interactive because of technology, which is very, very cool and exciting.
Okay, this is a spoiler alert. So I've been able to see some of the online courses that Will produces himself. And believe me, they don't look anything like our text-based Blackboard online course. So when I was thinking of that question in relationship to you and thinking of the future, what do I dream of? I dream that our online educational world would look like the world you know how to make.
I think that'd be cool because, yeah, no, online courses, they can be a little dull sometimes. It's a lot harder to engage someone when you're not with them. So I think it's very important to try and, do your best and design online experiences that
Yeah.
captivate and, really engage learners.
Made me want to sign up for some media courses so I can upboot some online courses.
Cool, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the 10 by 10 and taking this challenge and sharing just how students can get involved in this world and link their educational, interests with digital media.
So, well, thank you very much for having me, Linda.